Hello and welcome to our global live stream here out of the Vitec office in Irvine, California. We have a wonderful sunny day. I hope you will enjoy the next 30 minutes. We are going to introduce today, and I'm really excited to say that, a game-changing new tripod technology that has been developed over the last 3 years in cooperation between two of the most leading camera support brands in the world, Sachtler and Keuthen, both part of the Vitec group. And we would like to start the show in showing off a little film.
Introducing flowtech, a revolutionary tripod technology from Sachtler and Keuthen that promises to transform the way camera operators work. Flowtech is the quickest tripod to deploy in the world, and the unique quick-release brakes located at the top allow you to set up and adjust your tripod in an instant, all from the comfort of a standing position. The revolutionary profile of the carbon fibre legs and magnetic blocks at the base make it easy and comfortable to transport, whatever your location. The wider leg profile also provides exceptional torsional stiffness, ensuring that the tripod won't twist during camera panning movement. Flowtech is also the most versatile tripod we've ever designed. It can be extended as high as 157 centimeters, but also as low as just 26 centimeters, thanks to a unique hinge lock mechanism and easy to remove spreader. You could say it's the only tripod you'll ever need. We've thought of every single design detail, combining the speed and portability of Sachtler with the torsional rigidity of Keuthen, and creating the easiest to use and most versatile tripod on the planet. We've even made sure you no longer have to struggle to snap the feet on and off. This revolutionary design has been tested to destruction in the most extreme environments, from the cold Arctic, up mountains, to the beach and sea. It's even gone through our most extensive testing program ever conceived to ensure this is the most reliable tripod you'll ever own. Flowtech, evolving tripod technology.
With me in the studio today are three special guests I brought in. I would like to introduce them to you. First of all, Luke Thomas, an LA-based ENG cameraman. You work for networks like the BBC and PBS in the US. Welcome. Thanks for coming down from Manhattan Beach. I hope you had a nice journey.
Thanks for having me, Tobias.
Good.
Good to be here.
Okay, thank you. Next one in line is Steve Kenchington from our headquarters in England. He's the chief engineer and you are the brain behind flowtech. You flew in from London yesterday and I say thank you for joining us today at the show.
Thank you, Tobias. Good to be here.
Okay, good. And last but not least, Gary, you are a Chicago-based DP and cinematographer and one of the leading industry experts in the US. You flew in yesterday from Chicago.
And I'm handling the questions online.
And you are handling the question online. Very good. Thank you. Okay, so before we do a little competition here, I would like to show you guys flowtech as a product. I have one here.
The star of the show.
This is part of the show. This is our little star today. This is the flowtech. This is a 75mm tripod. Works with every 75mm fluid head in the marketplace. It has a maximum payload of 20 kilograms or 44 pounds. It's all carbon fiber, 2-stage, and ultra lightweight due to the carbon fiber. It's 2.9 kilograms for the tripod only. So the very unique part Steve and his team developed is a lever system, a braking lever system that sits here right on top, which you can operate basically at the same time. So you can open those clamps at the same time and manipulate all three legs at the same time in all stages. So what I can do here is just open this and go up and down as I want, without having to bend down or without having to operate different braking levers on different stages. Yeah, so it's very comfortable, simple clamping mechanism. Open it, move it. Yeah. So I hope you like that. The next one is, you see here a spreader, but the entire tripod can work without a spreader. So what Steve and his team developed is a hinge lock mechanism that allows you to take the spreader off, and I'm doing this here on one leg. And you would deactivate one of those hinge lock mechanisms here. And what you can now do is you have a free leg. You can move it up and down. And to put it into stages, you activate a button here, and then you have 3 different stages. Here's the first stage, the second stage, and the third stage. So, saying that, I'm putting the spreader back on. So what Steve's team did here is they developed a unique wiring system that that allows you to break the whole leg through this one clamping mechanism. What this resulted in is a unique profile. So you see the profile looks different than a standard tripod tube. It's much wider, obviously. It's all carbon fiber. So what this does is it doesn't not only improve the weight of the tripod, but it also is very, very comfortable to transport on your shoulder. So you guys know when you have a fluid head on it, when you have a camera on it, how much it hurts if you walk long ways through the forest or wherever, and your tube's basically hurting your shoulder. So this is not the case here anymore. That's wonderful. The next one I wanted to show, and I'm super excited about it. I'm always hearing from our focus groups, why didn't you develop this earlier? We have magnetic transport locks here. So in those legs, we have different magnets that hold the legs together during transport. So what you have here is a really stable transport mechanism instead of using the standard straps you know from current tripods. And you can do magic stuff like this, and it opens. Yeah. The next one, also something we really wanted to improve, or Steve's team had on the focus, is to improve the tripod legs. Not the tripod legs, the tripod feet, sorry about that. So everyone that ever tried to remove a feet from a tripod know how much pain it is to use those rubber bands, and they hurt, you get into the spikes, it's not good. So what we have here is a really simple mechanism to take it off and to put it back on. Very, very simple. Should have been done much longer ago, but now we have it. The next one is we have three 8 adapter docks. One is here, one is here, and one is here. This is to, for instance, to put on magic arms, to attach a small HD monitor, for instance, or an Anton Bauer battery, or whatever you want to attach. We have different optional accessories, like a shoulder strap. So you see the attachment point here. This is for the shoulder strap. I didn't bring a shoulder strap today, but this is for this. And we have an optional handle. So, but all of this, I would say, is theory, as long as we can't really prove how it works in comparison to existing tripod concepts. And guys, what I would think we do is a little time competition now. Luke, you would take one of the standard Sachtler tripods. Steve, you one of the current Vinten Posilock tripods, and we do a little time competition. And you do the timer. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm
okay.
ready. Yeah.
So I give you the product.
You're setting us up to fail here, Tobias.
Yeah.
Give your best, guys. This is the Sachtler. This is the Vinten.
Get out of the way, so everybody's.
I go in the. So I hope everyone can see us. What we're going to do? So we just leave it fold. So imagine, guys, we are late to a press conference. So Luke, never happened to you, right? So you are always late. You are standing in the last row of the press conference. All your colleagues getting the better shots, you think. And now the challenge is to go up extremely fast, extremely high. Yeah, this is the first competition.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'll give it a go. Yeah.
Gary, are you ready to count?
I'm ready.
Yeah. Okay.
Gentlemen, 3, 2, 1.
Done. Come on, guys. The press conference. You're missing the best part.
I got there.
Good.
Eventually.
Steve, how are you doing over there?
I'm going to catch it on the replay. So.
Well done. Good. Widespread. Okay, so what do we see here? We have an extremely fast tripod deployment. This doesn't mean a lot maybe when you do it once, but if you do it 100 or 1,000 times, this gives you an extreme time benefit. So we call flowtech the fastest tripod in the world, and I think we just proved it.
And I mean, the obvious thing is you have 3 less movements than both Steve and I, right?
Yeah, but there are no excuses here, right?
In Luke's easier because he's just got levers to flip. I've got to rotate things.
Yeah.
It's all excuses, right?
Okay, good. All excuses.
You win.
So next one, we are changing location. We are going out into the wilderness. Production manager said you have to shoot this rattlesnake right in the eye, so you need a low-angle shot. And unfortunately, guys, we forgot our baby legs or hi-hats, so we have to work with what we have. Yeah, so we have to go very, very deep to the ground. The rattlesnake is there, and you want to shoot in the eye.
Producers have always got crazy ideas.
Yeah, it's always the same. Okay, so are you up for it?
Yeah.
Okay, Gary.
Same again. Ready.
What?
Hey,
3,
hey.
2, go.
Okay. Take your time, guys.
I'm making it look easy. There we go.
Done. Okay, so we were pretty much equal at time. The big difference is you are not getting into the eye of the snake and you are not getting it.
No.
So the reason for that is obvious. We have a spreader on both the Vinten and the Sachtler example here, and the spreader just limits the angle you can get low enough. Yeah. So with flowtech, you have the option to use a spreader if you want the spreader, but you can always use it without, and this gives you the benefit of going extremely low. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep. Good.
Good. All right, then thanks for the competition. Well done, guys. And let's get back on our seats, and let's talk a little bit about you. So Gary, how are we doing on the question front?
One of the first questions that came in was from, let me get back to it here, Jonathan. Posted something here a second ago. I got up and I lost my spot here. Jonathan posted at 8:08, says, how can I use this instead of a hi-hat or baby licks? I think we just showed that. Luke, give us some insight into how you would do that.
I mean, you can always get lower. The flowtech's quite low. Hi-hat's going to be a little bit lower, but the versatility of the tripod is you don't have to carry a hi-hat around.
Right.
I mean, you've used it, and it's versatile. It goes low, it goes high.
And with a 4-second deploy.
Yeah.
That's kind of changes the way we do everything. And now with having the speed of deployment and having the ability to go very low, medium, high, very, very quickly gives people the power to do everything they need.
Yeah. So if you want a few extra inches in that low shot, carry your hi-hat around. But if you want versatility, you only really need the flowtech, I think.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you, guys. Steve, over to you. You came to Vitec with a large legacy of design and development experience in the automotive and motorsport industry. You came to us from Lotus. You worked a lot with carbon fiber. So how did this knowledge you brought to us impacted your development and manufacturing of flowtech?
I would say that the primary contributor would be around the carbon fiber construction of the tripod. So in motorsport, historically, over the past 30 or more years, carbon fiber has slowly been added in its function within the motor racing vehicles that are produced. So it started originally just reinforcing body panels, then it was made into more structural parts like the chassis, the monocoque of the car. And in the past 5 to 10 years, then they've also been using the carbon fiber as composite parts for the actual suspension components of the car. That's quite a big ask of the carbon fiber, but what that means is that there's a lot of experience now in the benefits of carbon fiber, how to make it, how to lay it up, etc. But the thing about those implementations is that they use pre-preg for doing this activity, and that requires lots of other processes to actually make the part. So it's very labor intensive. You need an autoclave to cure the part under vacuum, and you need quite an extended cure time to do that as well. So because it's so labor intensive, that actually means that it takes quite a while to actually make a part. Also, you end up with parts where human beings are variable in what they do. So after looking into that, we then expanded our search for how to make this, because a Formula One car to make 4 or 5 chassis a year, we want to make 7,000 tripods a year. Right. So we then researched, and we took another note from automotive, whereby they use the longerons on the cars and they use a braiding construction for that. And so we prototyped some braiding sections, and that took us to the flowtech tripod that we have in front of us now.
Yeah. Okay, so in all the conversations we have, people had in the last years, we always heard something like, why do you want to reinvent the wheel? A tripod is a tripod. It has 3 legs in most of the cases. And so how do you approach the whole mechanical design concept? So how did you research to find what to make better?
So from the design perspective, we actually took a blank sheet of paper for the new tripod because we didn't want to be constrained by what went before. Because at the moment, a tripod is a tripod. They're all twin tubes. They have brake mechanisms up and down the legs. And we wanted to focus on how to improve the workflow and understand the workflow of the operators that are going to use the tripod. So this manifested itself like things like the paddles at the top and the magnets and the ergonomics of the tripod. And so we undertook and produced a number of contenders initially, 6 main contenders of prototypes, and evaluated what would be required in those tripods. We reviewed them, and then we went down to a short list of 2 tripod configurations so that we had something which was tangibly going to deliver the improvement of workflow that we were looking for. Once those were in place, we then undertook the design, the analysis, and the prototyping using 3D prototyping techniques, so we had real product in our hand to evaluate. And then once we got down to the final donor, we ended up with the tripod here, and there were another 5 variants of that before we got to this point.
Right.
And now we have the tripod, the flowtech in front of you.
So let's talk reliability. Sachtler and Vinten are known for being rock-solid products. So this is a radical new mechanical design concept. So what did you do to make sure this product becomes rock-solid and steps into the footprint of the others?
So you're right. The Sachtler and the Vinten brands are legendary in the industry, and so they set a very high benchmark. And any new product that we develop, whether it's the new product like this or whether it was going to be a twin tube tripod, has to at least meet that performance criteria. Which is the bar is set very high. And so we set out so that we could undertake a development program whereby there was extensive testing of the function of the tripod. These tripod legs now have done over 3 million cycles on our test stand.
Say it again, 3 million?
3 million cycles on our test stand.
Wow.
Our pass criteria for an individual test is 30,000 cycles, which is actually 60,000 cycles of the handle. And a wide range of testing, environmental from... we have our own minor swamp in the test facility.
I love the fact that you got your own swamp and your own beach in the factory to through it.
You're right. There's a small beach alongside. There aren't any umbrellas there, or no one's serving margaritas. But we immerse the product in there. We do extended creep testing with it, and it's very rigorous because this tripod, as I said earlier, has to actually meet the criteria of the existing product. And so we've actually got a product which excels that now.
Okay, good. Thank you, Steve, for the insights. Gary, are there any more questions?
On that very subject, Vincent wrote in about 15 minutes ago and said, what kind of protection is there for sand and water? And you're telling us that it's been designed to protect the user from sand and water debris.
Yeah, exactly. So when we had the tripod, the first prototypes out there, we passed them out to various champions like yourself and like Luke to actually use in the field, and we took their feedback and enhanced the product as we went along. So the tripod itself actually has a self-draining function built into it.
Can you show this to us, maybe, or to?
Well, it's difficult to see, but it's inside, but we can talk about it. So inside here are a couple of mouldings, and they carry the braking mechanism and a guiding mechanism. And because when sand or water gets into the tripod, then you want to try and stop places within the tripod actually providing little ledges where it can accumulate and actually get trapped. So consequently, all the mouldings inside here actually are sloping. They have drainage holes in them so that any fluid that goes in and any sediment that goes in will be naturally flushed out of the tripod leg.
Yeah. After talking to you at NAB, when I picked up my flowtech, I went and took it to Tahiti on a job, and I rolled around the sand. I took it up in chest-deep water, and I got sand and salt and all that stuff in there. I would never do that to any of my gear, but after talking to Steve, he said, no, it should be fine, just you got to flush it out once you're done, which I did, and it still works like new. It's
Good.
pretty impressive part of
Yeah.
of the tripod.
So let's stick with you, Luke. You obviously used the tripod for the last 6 months in all your production. So what is apart from the cleaning part? So what's the real benefit you see in the flowtech tripod for you?
I mean, it's light. It's really fast, which is a huge. Like, I work in news, so everything's quick. You can be light and quick. So I've been using FS7 a lot lately. So it's kind of, I put that on the flowtech about 6 months ago, and I've been shooting a lot with it. Basically, it's really versatile. It's easy to carry, like, despite the fact that it looks cool. But it's a great tripod, and I haven't broken it yet. After talking with Steve over the last few months, it's like, I'll give it my best go, but I haven't managed to damage the thing. It's
Good.
Very durable.
Well done, Steve. Well done. So obviously you brought it to a lot of production. So did you hear any feedback from your production team? Because that's obviously something new that looks different. So did they say anything?
Well, like, when you pull it out of the back of my van at a shoot, most people, like I say, it looks cool. So they're like, wow, what is that? So that's usually people's first reaction. It looks like the Batmobile of tripods. You know? It's pretty impressive. But I was on a shoot recently with the BBC, and we're up on a farm in California. It was a hot day. We're walking around doing a story on migrant workers. So it's a lot of walkings, a lot of carrying the gear. BBC, to her credit, the BBC producer I was with was like, do you want me to carry anything? I was like, oh, no, I'm fine. She picked up the flowtech and put it on her shoulder. And she's like, I'll carry this thing all day. This is amazing. It's so light. And so that's
a great story.
Yeah, well, that's big for us, you know, because sometimes you have to sacrifice not carrying the tripod if you know you're going to walk a lot. So it's nice to have something so light.
Good. Great. Thanks, Luke, for sharing the story. Over to you, Gary. So I wanted to ask you a few questions, but what is the audience asking?
First, let's just go back. There's a lot of questions on the reliability of the tripod because it's a Sackler brand. But a lot of people were concerned about what we were talking about before, about the sand and water being in it, and could it be washed out? And the answer is, you've said yes, it could. You hosed it out. There were questions about salt water that came up. One of the interesting ones came from Matthew. Here, I just lost that. And it says, Steve, this goes to you. It says, what have you done to minimize any kind of spring back when somebody's panning with the camera? Give us a little input on that and why that's such a big deal for a shooter.
Okay, so the one thing which one key attribute which is key is the torsional stiffness of the tripod. So this is the function whereby when you pan the head, the tripod wants to twist. So if it's not a stiff tripod, as you pan, you actually twist the tripod and you end up with a spring. And when you get to the end of the pan, you end up with a point where you release the pan and it just springs back a little bit due to the torque you've applied. So what we've done is mechanical design of the tripod legs, the hinge system, the feet, and the braking system are all worked together to give us a tripod which is 50% stiffer than our existing Sackler product. And I'm sure, Luke, that when you've actually been trying this in the field, that you find it's better with long lens.
Well, that's where you're going to notice it the most, right? When you're on the long end of the lens and you notice those tiny little movements. It's been great. It's been great for me. I haven't noticed any kind of torsional pushback. It works.
Okay, good. Thank you, guys. So, Gary, over to you. So, in your role as a DP and director, not so much answering, the web guy. So, you're very close to a lot of camera manufacturers and other big manufacturers in the industry. So, you have a good sense of of trends and stuff like that. So, how do you see the role of camera supports like a tripod and fluid head changing in the context of lighter cameras, of gimbals, of drones? So,
and we start right where they left off. A longer lens, the control of a tripod gives longer lenses better movement. You can pan simpler with the way on a tripod. And people need to understand as cameras have become very, very small. You know, Panasonic's EVA1, this Canon C300, even Alexa Mini and Red's Dragons are very, very small cameras by comparison to what Luke started working with. So now that cameras have gotten small and light, it's nice to see a manufacturer come with a truly revolutionary development for cameras that are the state of the art now and will carry for a much longer period. Cameras are not going to be the heavy objects they used to be. Everybody's going smaller and lighter, and this is going to enable a whole new generation of filmmakers capabilities and tools that they haven't had before.
Yeah, like you say, the DSLR generation's going to love this all the way up until those guys they've got Reds and Alexa Minis or FS7s.
And it's light and it's easy to use. Like you said, you put a camera on it, throw it over your shoulder, you're going out into the woods to do a documentary or you're shooting live news. That having that speed of deployment and everything is very viable. And for people doing spot news or weddings or events or anything where timing is a big effort, having something that can deploy that quickly is an advantage for them.
Yeah. So thanks for answering this question. You obviously own a lot of gear yourself, right? Over the years.
A lot.
so how do you take your buying decisions? What do you look at when you buy camera supports in particular?
Well, I mean, support in particular has always been, we always start with a name brand. We know something that we trust. And the other thing we go for is we go and test the gear out.
Yeah.
You try it out, take your cameras out and do it. It's no different than packing a case, having the proper tools around you, the ability to hang additional accessories via the mounting studs, having a strap, having a handle, being able to auto level or do uneven ground gives you a lot of flexibility at a very low price point.
Yeah.
And now you have this low cost, lightweight tool that enables filmmakers in a way we haven't had before.
I think versatility as well for me when I buy new gear. Like we were talking about before, you can load up a fair bit of weight onto this thing. You can have something that you can put a slider onto. It's going to handle the weight.
Well, and that aspect, you think about the sliders, and it's like that quick, dynamic leveling is something that's so difficult to do with camera sliders now.
And that's one thing I've noticed with this system is, with other systems, I haven't completely trusted the locking mechanism.
Yeah, very much.
Especially when you're putting a slider and a camera on there. I've actually used this. I don't know if you guys can officially approve the weight, but I know the payload is 20 kilos, right? I put a jib with weights, FS7. I kept on there all day. At its highest height, would have had to been over 30 kilos.
Wow. So Steve, would you approve that? We wouldn't.
Not officially.
No, not officially. No.
So you better don't do.
I need to talk with him.
Yeah.
And the lock and the you're kind of looking, when you weigh it up that much, you're really pushing what the tripod can do. You're kind of waiting for it to slide, you're waiting for that lock to give. And I had it up there for hours and it kind of held in there. So once you get comfortable with this stuff, you've got a versatile tripod you can use for jibs, sliders.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you guys first of all for those insights. So now let's talk about how you can buy the tripod, because obviously we want to sell the tripod, but I think there's some desire to have it as well. So the list price in dollar terms is $1,050. In euro terms is $960. The product is now available in our certified reseller channel. So you can get the information about our resellers on flowtech-tripod.com. We will show you the URL later at the end. So that said, I would like to talk about the winners of our raffle. You may have seen while you registered for the live stream that we are giving 3 of those wonderful Flowtech tripods away. So we are drawing the winners right at the end of the live stream, and will publish the name of the winners in the next 2 hours at this particular website, flowtech-tripod.com. So, and it's time to wrap up the show. Thank you guys for coming to the studio here in Irvine, to the Teradek studio. It was a pleasure to have you. Thanks for all the insights you gave me. Thank you guys on the screen for joining the live stream. It was a pleasure to have you. I hope you enjoyed it a little bit and you liked the product as much as I like it and we like it. And we say goodbye out of Irvine and see you soon.
Thank you, Toby.